my cup. In the session real loud, good gas, yeah, you know we about to roll it up. Bring the bottles to the session, big tab, go ahead and just live it up. Get lit one night, after that we can go ahead.
What's going on? What's going on? It's your boy Icon, and we're here on 95 South Podcast once again. First and foremost, I want to thank God for this opportunity to be able to come on this platform and to be able to have great topics, to be able to discuss be on a great platform, and have fans all over the world, literally, to be able to tune in to what we're doing. My partner was just on here, but I think he's having technical difficulties. So basically, we're going to just kind of jump right into it, and then, he'll jump back on in a minute. So basically, could introduce yourself to us. And, well, we got Portia Crawford. She's a singer, model, actress, does everything, a little bit of everything. And I would say when I see a person like yourself, I see a person that's a triple threat. You know what I mean, when it comes to business acumen and being able to do multiple things and all that. So definitely a queen to be reckoned with. So can you tell people who Portia Crawford is and what you represent?
Thank you so much for that lovely introduction. Like you said, my name is Portia Crawford, and I was born and raised in Spartanburg, South Carolina. Shout out to Sparkle City. And coming from a small town and having kind of big city dreams, I just kind of put my foot in everything. Just, you know how they say you cast a line and hope you catch something. And so that just kind of became my status quo. And I've been blessed enough to have the energy and the wherewithal to have my feet in a lot of pools. And so I started pretty early on with an artist development company. That was my first baby, Constant Kudos. And she's still in existence today. We established in 2010. And basically our whole premise was to take musicians from being just a product and being a product that could sell. And that came with EPKs, and that came with setting them up with videographers and recording studios and just trying to make their sound more professional. That grew into Small Business Solutions, where we do financial documents and anything that you can think of to help a business grow into something a little more tangible. And then, through that, of course, I'm still working on my career. So I've had a nice lucrative time in the restaurant industry. I've had some 15 years now into property management. So that's me on the career side. And then recently, about 2 years ago, we started Laundry Nirvana. And that's just a mobile laundry service. It's just something a little more tangible that you can kind of sink your teeth into. And being a single mother and trying to work and be in career, the last thing I wanted to do when I came home was laundry, but I wanted the laundry done. And so that was the premise behind that. It's just trying to make folks' life easier. But yeah, and then I've had the pleasure of working with Geechee One Films. I've worked with my good friend, Bettina Floyd out of Charlotte. Acting has been something I've been doing since I was a little girl. So to be able to put that on the big screen was a blessing for me. Shout out to Felicia Rivers. I've done some brand ambassadorships. I worked with Long Time Coming out in Charleston. So just being blessed to be around people that were mobile and global minded. Jacob was one of the first people that I actually met when I started music, and he just has such a big sense of the world that I was able to, jump on those coattails and just try to, expand, because sometimes coming from a small town, you kind of feel like a big fish in a fishbowl. And so to know that there are people out there with similarities and bigger ideas that span the globe instead of just where you're from, it was a tremendous help. And so I just try to continue that. I'm just trying to grow, trying to be bigger than the pond I was raised in. And I think that served me well over the years, and we're still growing. So we're trying to see where we're going with it.
Well, two things before I shoot it back over to Jacob. One, you say mobile laundry. So what is that exactly? I've never heard of mobile. I heard mobile cleaning service or cleaners. When they come and pick your stuff up and all. Mobile laundry. What does that consist of?
Yeah. What's a concierge service? It's exactly what it sounds like. So it's like equate DoorDash and laundry. Put those two things together. So you take your dirty laundry, you put it out in a designated spot. We come and pick it up. We wash it, sanitize it, fold it, and return it back to that same spot. So now you have your laundry finished and complete. And it is one of those tasks that no matter how many times you do it, it's always going to be the dirty clothes. Every time I do laundry, I'd be so happy I get it all done. And then as soon as I get ready to get into bed that night, the clothes that I have on my back are going in the hamper. So at no point is laundry ever finished or complete. And, I hear a lot of people say that they can wash the clothes, they can dry the clothes, but folding the clothes, no. And so, for me, a person that lives a busy lifestyle, having my clothes sorted and put together is a huge relief in the mornings. I can just go to my daughter's room and pick out an outfit, and I don't have to see if it needs to be ironed, or I just know that it's ready to go. I know what's what. These are pants, these are shirts, these are socks. I think it was a huge relief as far as just being prepared for the day, and that's what Laundry Nirvana is trying to provide. But we do everything outside of the scope of laundry. So if you have a sick home, a lot of times people don't wash their curtains and their bed sheets. That is a huge part of getting the sickness out of your home. We take care of those things. Your rugs and your bathrooms, they can't necessarily go through a traditional washing machine, but they can be pressure washed and cleaned and sanitized. Outside of that, we do some commercial things for like your the beauty shops, the salons. They got those towels, and those towels are being reused. So you want to make sure that they're sanitized, and that's a huge part of laundry that a lot of people, just washing is not the same as sanitizing. And so that's a service that we offer, and it's exactly what it sounds like. It's a mobile laundry service. We're going to come and pick it up. We're going to take it. We're going to industrially wash it. We're going to bring it back to you ready to go. If it needs to be pressed, it'll be pressed. If it needs to be, stain treated, it'll be stain treated. So there's a lot of little nuances, but at the core of it, it is laundry.
So it kind of like one thing, body like people doing line work. So is it is, what
You breaking up, bro?
clients come from?
Oh, you said where the clients come from? It's a lot of things. It's new mothers. So being a new mom is difficult. It takes a lot to get used to. And then of course with baby clothes, they're so tiny and there's so many, and you go through so many in a day. So new mothers are great clientele. Like I said, the salon girlies have been my number one client. Shout out to my girl Dominique at Locked and Loaded. With the towels. We've been trying to break into like the senior housing because they have a lot of bedding, and then they have a lot of sanitation needs. So the equivalent of being in a hospital, but it's an assisted living home, that kind of thing. We haven't quite broken into that market yet, but it's there. The need is there for that, and oftentimes they have laundry on site for us to use. So that's been a good pair for us. And then just anybody, of course, people that live in apartments that may or may not have access to laundry hookups inside the home. They don't want to have to run to the laundromats. People who are elderly and they don't want to have to run to the laundromats, or just people who, there's some people who have mental health issues, physical health issues, and laundry becomes an issue for them. And so they deserve to have a clean home as well. And then also, the folks who are really into the spring cleaning and, they like for their house to be fully clean. It's just like those people who get carpet cleaning and that kind of thing. Imagine somebody coming into your house and taking all your curtains, all your bed sheets, all your spreads, all your rugs out and refreshing them. The difference between, you change your air filter out, the smell is going to be different, the feel is going to be different. And just knowing that your home is safe, so if you're a person that likes air quality, this would improve that. So it's really open to anybody. We try to keep the pricing. I've always been a person that says that price shouldn't stop you from enjoying things. So we have several packages that offer that same concierge service to just about anybody's budget. Some of them are going to be luxury. If you want the whole shebang, you're going to pay for it. but some of them are going to be economically priced for people who want the basis of it, but don't have a whole bunch of money to spend. And when we sat down and did it, we wanted to make sure that the cost wasn't too much more than what you would spend on washing your clothes at the laundromat. And it's set up just like DoorDash, where you pay a monthly subscription service, so you're already getting a discount in that sense. And then, like, if you want to add anything or take anything out, you kind of just pay as you go.
Okay.
I think my boy froze up on me.
Yeah, I think he did. I think he did.
Yeah.
So when I lived up north in the DC area, and when I lived down south in Florida, um, it was something like the mobile, but I used to drop my clothes off at the laundromat every Thursday, so they would wash them, and then Miss Gladys was like, "Well, do you need some of these work pants iron?" And I said, "Sure." And
Yeah.
so so I do understand, as far as how the mobile laundry can grow and it can be franchised because it's needed. And so, with that being said, that's smart. But
Oh, thank
come,
you.
come on, Portia, who
Okay.
I ain't surprised. I ain't
Yeah.
surprised. I know you for a long time. I ain't surprised. You always got that. As my dad used to say when he was living, he was like, thinking man always win. So and that's what it is. Thinking about what people need and what they don't have, and and
Yeah.
so and so that's what's up. So
That was my dad's thing. My dad said if you start a business that your goal is to help people, you'll never fail. And so every business that I've ever tried to start, I started with that in mind, because his thing is the goodwill of it all to keep you afloat. So my dad was huge on the philanthropy of business. Like, if you start a business and the inward focus is yourself, you're gonna have to work really hard to make it work. But if you start a business where you come up with something that helps people, like, I mean, think about post-it notes and paper clips. Somebody did that because they said, "Well, I need something to label this," and it was something that helps people. And now it's a multi-billion-dollar. 3M is a multi-billion-dollar company today, simply because they set out to make somebody's life easier. And so every time I try to do a business, it's, with that in mind. And so Laundry Nirvana, because I hate laundry, which is crazy, as the CEO of a laundry company, to be able to express how much I hate laundry as a chore, and to understand that that's where the need for Laundry Nirvana came from for me.
right, so it's just like me being a country boy. When we go fishing, people want them, so I clean them and scale them, and if they want them filleted, I do that, and kind of bag them up in Ziploc bags and sell them for like $25 a bag, and they buy them hand over fist.
Amen. Because they
Yeah.
want the fish, they don't want to do all that work.
Right, 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 right. So,
Yeah.
so with that being said, that's really smart, and so we gonna get into today's topic. Women, vulnerability, and intimacy, and it's a real heavy topic, and it's not a topic that most men want to talk about, but we tend to be different here on the 95 South, network, and just want to get an insight from a female's point of view, and where us men can give our insight by hearing you, because we don't know the vulnerability of a woman. We just know what you guys tell us,
Right.
and we just know your body language and your actions. So the first thing we're gonna talk about is women. Um, what makes a man understand a woman, and what makes a woman understand a woman? As far as how do women understand themselves to identify in their feminine energy?
I mean, I think that's a loaded question just to start with, because back in the day, there was this book called Men Are From Mars and Women Are From Venus. And it's that whole topic of how do we understand each other. And we are sometimes polar opposites. I think that men run on logic and women run on emotion a little bit more. And that isn't to say that women don't have logic. It's just that our emotions are we're so much more in tune with our emotions that they guide us in a way that I don't think men have been able to come into contact with their emotions, because society doesn't quite allow men the right to explore their emotional intelligence as much as women do. But I will say, like, as a woman, I am 36 years old as of April 10th. But in my 36 years, I can still say that I'm learning the premise of being a woman and what it entails being a woman. Motherhood adds to that. And I don't think it's something that you're going to have a concrete understanding of until literally the day that you're no longer here on this planet. I think that it's more of a journey. I think that it's ever changing. I don't think that a man understanding me today, if he would understand me 10 years from now, and vice versa. I do think that understanding the individuals in your life and what makes them tick is a little easier than trying to, I guess, group all men into the same, because I know men who have tapped into parts of their femininity that make them a little bit more easy for me to understand, versus some men who have never tapped into the feminine side of their ego. And that makes it more difficult for me, because it's like they're coming from a place that I've never been before, because I haven't tapped into that much masculinity in my life. And then, also you have people who come from different backgrounds. So me having a father meant that every day I got to a peek into the masculine world. I could go to my dad and go, "Hey, Dad, how does this look?" And not only would he tell me what he thought it looked like, but why he thought it looked that way. And so I noticed sometimes the girlies who didn't grow up with a particular type of father or didn't have a father, they didn't get the same type of insight into the locker room as I did. Um, you know, um, just the conversation we had about leaving things to the imagination. I remember that. I remember being 16 and wanting to, dress up. And, my dad told me, he was like, men like it when women leave things to the imagination, which is the exact opposite of what the TV and the music is teaching us. Like, it's nice to go out and be dressed however you want to dress. That's not the thing. But if your goal in the end is to have male attention or male gaze, that's going to turn into a relationship that a man can love you and get to know you. You're not going to get that if you give him nothing to imagine. So I always tell the girls I get more play in my Bojangles uniform than I ever did in a short mini skirt. The type of approaches that I got matched the what I put out into the world. And so, I implore the girlies to understand that your sexuality is not tied into what you have on. Your sexuality and your confidence and your ability to attract what it is that you're looking for is not tied into the makeup that you're wearing, the hair that you have on, or the clothes that you wear. It's something much bigger than that. And until you realize that it's bigger than that, then you're not going to feel the real ideal of confidence. Because I will walk out this house looking crazy, but you can't tell me that I couldn't pull whatever man I wanted to in a purple onesie. And it's not got to do with me being better looking or what. It's got to do with the fact that I know who I am as a person on the inside, and my clothes don't change that. If I was homeless, I'm still going to be me. If I didn't have a dime to my name, that does not change who I am. If money is your ruling factor, then as soon as that money is gone, who are you? If I cut all my hair off today, I'm still me at the fundamental core. And I think a lot of people haven't found themselves yet, which means they'll never be able to understand anybody else. And I think a lot of people are lost in the sense of trying to understand somebody or trying to dictate. I see there's a lot of the podcast bros out there that are trying to tell women how to be women without an understanding of how they are to be a man first. And I feel like if we all just try to, focus inwardly, these conversations would go a lot further.
Okay, okay, and so, what would you want to kind of give some jewels to men about understanding who she identifies with in her emotions when and in her mental capacity, or in her spiritual being, as far as do you I feel like most people don't know each other spiritually, and so a lot of times when you're in a courtship or you're going into a marriage or anything like that, and you don't know each other spiritually, something is lost. You know what I mean? Something is left out. And so for you, what type of jewels would you want to drop upon men so they can, obtain some of these jewels and really get a better understanding?
I think that men are by nature hunters, okay? And I think that every man looks at every woman as a possible mate, but women are much more than mates. Women make great friends, women make great confidants, women make great business partners, women make great other things. Like every woman that you encounter is not for you to conquer in the sense of being in a relationship with. And also, platonic relationships are just as important as romantic relationships, are just as important as sexual relationships. So, if at the beginning you're not viewing every woman as a thing to conquer in that romantic or sexual sense, you'll find yourself open to a lot of different type of women, because there's been plenty of times that I just really like men. I feel like women have guy friends all the time that they're just platonic with, and their purpose isn't to you know be with that man in a romantic sense, but I feel like men sometimes feel like they can't do for women. Like, I'm not changing her tire. If she got a man, why I need to change a tire for? Changing her tire ain't got nothing to do with anything sexual or relationship wise. You're changing my tire to be a gentleman in that moment. If
Hmm.
I cook you food, that is not me trying to make you my man. I'm cooking you food because you was hungry. And so I think if we all went back to just the human basis of it all, that is a much stronger connection being human than being a man or a woman. And also, as a man and a woman, we have to understand and give room for people to grow. Like, I'm not going to, I know a lot of the girls are like, oh, I want a man that's this, and this. Nobody is perfect when you meet them. Nobody really understands how to treat you until you teach them how to treat you. Nobody is going to come to you as this prepackaged perfect man. The women are giving up good men because they don't know how to dress. I've been watching this balloon popping fiasco, and the decisions that you make, if they are shallow, you will always end up with a shallow relationship. But if you give a person a chance to present to you who they really are, and that's why I don't get into the whole, oh, if he can't marry you in 2 years, if he can't marry you in 6 years, do you know that there are people who keep a facade for 20 plus years and they're mass murderers and nobody knows it, not even their parents? Like, people can keep up a facade for a very long time. And
Hmm.
until you ask the right questions or actually go through things with that person, you don't know that person. And then you end up in a marriage, and marriage isn't the goal in the end run. It's just a piece of paper. It's being in a relationship that produces something, and children are a product of a relationship. But sometimes if you have a bad relationship, you produce bad children because you don't have the two pieces there to raise the children properly, or they go and they see your toxic relationship and they recreate that, and now you have generations and generations that are recreating these toxic things, because you made it okay. And so, I think if we just get back to the human level and get to know each other as people before we get to know each other as, I can't judge you as a man because I don't know what it's like to be a man, but you can't turn around and judge me as a woman and not understand, because you're not a woman, you don't understand where I'm coming from. And so I just feel like, if we just get back to just knowing people, like when we were in elementary school, every girl wasn't a girl for you to sleep with. It wasn't a girl for you to She was a girl for you to play with. She might have had extra pencils for you to borrow. She might have been a tutor for you. We were just people. And then the sexuality came in, and it's just like everything else got thrown away. And so it's now, if you're not giving me something, and it's the same way for women, it's very transactional. If you're not giving me something, if you're not paying my bills, then I'm not interested in you. But what if you make me laugh? Or what if when I'm going through something, you give me good advice? Or what if you know people that I don't know and you can put me in the room with those people? There are so much more to us than what's in between our legs. And and I think people need to get back to that.
Okay. Okay. That's dope. That's dope. I coming back to you.
So, what I was going to say was, one, when it comes to the young men today, you were saying about the men being vulnerable, it's kind of like a catch-22, because I see the guys, the young guys, my nieces deal with, and my daughter and younger cousins, and the guys today, it's like a sensitivity level there that me and Jacob talk about that we don't understand. Like, I guess because we was raised that a man wasn't supposed to show so much emotion and so much of his softer side. When you see these guys nowadays, it's almost like the opposite. It's like almost like they show their softer side, but before they show their masculine side. Like you said, a lot of these men don't even want to change a tire, don't want to gas up your car. Worst thing I see is when I go to the store, gas station, and I see a woman pumping gas, and the man sitting on the other side, or in the driver's seat, whatever, just sitting there chilling. You know what I mean? I'll be wanting to walk up to him like, brother, like, what are you doing? Like, you don't never allow your woman to pump gas unless you over there sick or something, or and if they out pumping, your woman should not be out here pumping this gas. You know what I mean? Or whatever. So those little things that I just feel like, as us as men, I talk about all the time, we have to do better of showing our young men how to be men, because it's little things. Men just think, a lot of times young men just think being a man is just, oh, I'm 21, I'm 18, No, I talk to my son all the time. I say, when you in a relationship with a female, there's certain things you have to do. There's certain things she has to see. You know what I'm saying? Or whatever, for you to call yourself a man. And like, I mean, one time he said to me, well, Dad, I'm 21 years old, you don't treat me like a man, or whatever, you don't respect me. I said, because you haven't showed me that you're a man. Because you're the age of a man, or if you still coming to me to get money and to get stuff from me and your mama, then you're not a man yet. You're just an adult. It's two different things. You know what I'm saying? So, or to go back to the female part of it, you know how we said we got cultural, and I want you to kind of answer this question for me. We said we have cultural curses or family curses. I think we have a cultural curse. And what I mean by that is, and I can't speak for any other races, I just go by what I know, what I've seen. Young women grow up thinking it's cool to be with the drug dealer. It's cool to be with the guy who gets in trouble in school. It's basically that bad boy. But that bad boy turns into a criminal as an adult. He turns into a wife beater. He turns into a lot of things that may have certain things that you may attract you to him, but the things that need to be a protector for you, he doesn't provide. And I think that women need to be taught, and then sometimes they see it from their mother, with the kind of men their mothers bring in the house, and the aunties. And I think women do need to do a better job with the women too, with the young girls, teaching them, saying, look, you need to be out there with that guy who's trying to go to Duke or Carolina and trying to get a degree, or trying to start his own business. Why don't be out here chasing behind these guys? You know what I'm saying? Because these guys in the long runs is going to be the ones that when you're 40, 50 years old, you're going to be bitter because they done got you 4 or 5 babies and don't want to take care of them because they're in and out of jail or whatever the case may be, or they just abandon you. So what is your thoughts on that comment?
I think it goes back into what I said about using outside forces to make your choice. A lot of women choose the drug dealer because they feel financially stable and they feel safe because he got 10 guns in the house. And that's crazy. It sounds crazy, but we can't discount the fact that since the 80s, a large majority of our men chose crack over working, because crack was easier. Crack, they denounced our entire community because crack was easier than going and working as a garbage man. And you can't blame them. If I can make $60,000 in a month, why would I choose making $60,000 in a year? But at some point somebody had to do the hard work, and that's what I feel like our ancestors in the 60s and the 70s and before that, they were able to do that. No, this isn't the best option for me, but it's the best option for the people going forward. And I don't feel like, and I feel like it's a white problem too. It's an everybody problem, because what we see on the TV and what we hear in the music is what we go by. And for African Americans, music has always been very important. And I feel like we've lost sight of that. We can't continue to message, because it's not women. Women aren't making songs about drug dealers. Men make songs about drug dealers. And then they make those men, like men will go to bat for people like Future. But then men will turn around and dog somebody like Russell Wilson. So the message that you're sending to your daughter is that Russell Wilson is a square, and that Future, that nigga, excuse my language. But it's a all encompassing thing. It's not just women, it's not just men. Men are complaining about the way music is going, but nobody remembers when Too Short and Snoop Dogg and all of them were saying women were hoes and bitches, and they had women with their ass out. They forget that men have capitalized on the sexuality of women, and it wasn't no fun if the friend can't have some. But now that women have internalized that, now men want women to stop that. But it's both parties. And if men are the leaders, women are following the leader. If men truly believe that they are the leaders, which I don't, I feel like our culture is not a patriarchy. It's never been a patriarchy. And it never will be until the men are able to compete with the other men. And right now there's a lot of competition within the men versus the women. But Black men have historically had a foot on their neck from society that does not allow them to compete properly in the world. And they have internalized that struggle and that grief, and now it's their identity. Yes, I think Black men go to jail at a higher rate, and I don't think they're more criminalistic than anybody else. White men do crime. Black on Black crime is not a thing. Y'all, please stop regurgitating that, because all crime is intraracial. There are more white people kill more white people, more Asian people kill more Asian people, because usually crime, especially violent crime, happens within a 10-mile radius of each other. And because of redlining, and people are living amongst themselves. And so if white on white crime isn't a part of your conversation, it should just be human on human crime. And so I feel like we regurgitate a lot of the BS that's being sold to us, because we don't want to do the research ourselves. We are still just mimicking what people are telling us, and until we as a people get out of that, we can't suffice that. I see a lot of girls say, well, them white boys, they pay rent, they not having this conversation. Damn right, because they can go and get $160,000 a year. They can do that and not have half the skills that your Black man have. So what we have to do is put ourselves in our bubble and figure out, the whole 50-50 conversation. The reason why women have a problem with that is not because we don't want to pay bills. It's because the definition of 50-50 means that you pay your 50% of the bills, and then you come home and wait for me to cook, you wait for me to clean, you wait for me to finish with the kids, and then you roll over and you expect for me to be sexually excited to see you. But 50-50 means we split everything 50-50. It means that you go and you bathe them kids and help them with their homework, that you cook, that you clean. And so again, we don't have a patriarchy. In fact, I would say that our grandmothers and the women in our society have always been this, because we were the less of a threat. So we were allowed in the house. we were the first ones to be able to read. Oftentimes we would be on the front lines because they're less apt to spray me down with a water hose or attack me with a dog because I am a woman. That's why Rosa Parks was able to do what she did. If you would have tried that, they would have killed you. And so I don't think that we're not a patriarchy because our men aren't strong. I think that we are a matriarchy because our women are. Black women are much stronger than their counterparts. And not because we're better, but because we had to be. And so us, they say that you're only as strong as your weakest link. So in every other patriarchal, the women are the weakest link. And so you guys, once you guys get to the point where you can now become the stronger sex, then you guys have we're going to be a stronger team, hands down. Even if black men are dating white women and black women are dating white men, still, we are still one. Serena still belongs to us because she's still a black woman. And oftentimes I see that when black men get into these outside relationships, they let go of their culture. They start to, try to assimilate into the other cultures, whereas black women maintain their culture inside of interracial relationships. And that is the point. That's the only way that interracial relationships work, is when you maintain the identity of your culture, so that your children grow up with two cultures and not just one. Like, you cannot raise a black son, a mixed race son, and not teach him about slavery. You cannot allow your white wife to brainwash your mixed children into believing that they won't be affected by racism. You cannot allow that to happen as the black person in that relationship. You can't allow your children to be raised as white children. They don't know how to do their hair. They don't understand the nuance. They don't get it. So I just feel like overall, our men have got to get into the habit of understanding that your emotions and your ability to be a man are two very different things. You can still pump gas while you're crying. If your grandma died, you can still change a tire. You can still have those emotions. Emotions are strength. And if we quit teaching little boys that being emotional is a weakness, then they will have the tools to control and understand those emotions. That is why men today do not accept rejection well, because they don't understand how to contain their rage. They don't understand that now is not the time. I can't be mad at this girl because she don't want me. Somebody want me. See, little girls, we get the ability to go through that emotional turmoil, whereas little boys are told, hey, man up, man. You a little boy, you don't supposed to cry. Yes, you are supposed to cry, but maybe not right now. Maybe you're supposed to go cry in the peace of your home. And so I feel like if little boys are allowed to explore their emotions, they won't turn into 21-year-old men who feel like they're being rebellious by being sad. Like, men are allowed to be sad. Y'all are allowed to cry. You need a hug. That is where we come in. We're supposed to be the safe space for your emotions. We're supposed to be the people that you can, and now a lot of women do use that to their advantage. When a man gets, oh, that's why he was crying. Women, we got to stop doing that. Like, we're supposed to be the safe space for the men to be vulnerable in their emotions. And I just don't feel like we're a safe space for each other right now. I feel like we're using a lot of those things against each other, but little boys should be able to cry. Little boys, when they fall down, they should be able to internalize the fact that, oh, my knee hurts, but hey, that crying ain't helping me. You know what I'm saying? We need to stop. Like, if you're a homosexual only because you sleep with other men. That is the definition of homosexual. If you like to cook, if you enjoy cleaning, if you want to be a nurse, if you want to wear painted fingernails, not that I'm okay with that, that does not inherently make you gay. That does not make you homosexual. There's a lot of issue with men wearing pink. A color does not make a person homosexual. I see a lot. That's why we have a DL problem, because those men aren't allowed to express themselves. So they put it down, they bottle it up, and they pretend. And that ends up with women having AIDS, and you finding out later on that your gangster ass boyfriend who carried a nine everywhere he go, he got his pants hanging off his ass, he's dressed like a man, he presents himself as a man, but he like other men. And I feel like you don't give people the space to be who
Man.
they are, you know. And then a lot of these men, like, okay, y'all were okay with Prince. Prince was highly feminine, but he was getting mad girls. Prince wasn't gay. You know, for what he says, he was not a gay man. And so none of the things that he did or the things that he said made him gay. What would have made him gay is if he preferred sexually men over women. I see girls, they talk about men prefer to hang out with their homeboys. Women prefer to hang out with their homegirls too. That don't make us gay. I like spending time with my homegirls because we are aligned. Men like to hang out with other men because they're simple. Women are not simple. A man can say something to his homeboy, and if it don't hit right, the homeboy be like, "Don't say that to me no more." And they have a little argument, and the next day they Gucci. You say something to a woman, it's gonna take you 2 weeks to get off of none of that. And so men like to be around other men because they're simple. Women like to be around other women because we're complicated, but we understand each other's complications. To an extent. But it doesn't make you gay until you start sleeping with the same sex. That's what makes you gay. And also, we got to stop acting like gay is just the most terrible thing for a person to be. There's a lot of good gay men. There's a lot of, as a matter of fact, I'll tell you right now, one of my cousins is the most manly, masculine man. And I don't mean in his mannerisms. I mean, I ain't never had to touch a door. If he is with me, I don't have to touch no door. I don't have to touch no gas pump. I don't have to do any of these things. And it's not because, he's trying to date me. And if something were happening, I feel very safe that he's going to make sure that I get out of that situation. And he just as gay as he want to be. But he is a man. And that's why I say being a man, like you said, is not, it ain't got nothing to do with the clothes that you wear. It ain't got nothing to do with how many women you sleep with. It is fundamentally something that is at your core where you feel like it's my duty to protect, to serve, and to be the front runner, the person on the front lines. And that's hard. And women need to give men more credit. If you got to fight a lion for me so I can run, that's a big deal. But men also have to give credit where it's due as well. Giving life is a big deal. Keeping your family fed is a big deal. Being the person that creates the home is a big deal. And that's what equality means, is that you value me for the things I bring to the table, and I value you for the things that you bring to the table. Equality doesn't mean that me and you can pick up the same amount of weight. Me and you can work the same job. That's not what equality meant. It meant that my work in the home is just as important as your work outside of it. And when we come together, that work creates this bubble that we live in and that we're happy in. But I do think little boys y'all need to get off them little boys. My cousin, my older cousin, she had a son and he wanted to play with a dollhouse. And I remember her just being like, no, that's going to make him gay. And I was like, girl, he just want to play with the house because it's a toy. It's a brightly colored toy. And you know what he did? He picked that damn dollhouse up and he proceeded to throw a football at it. He just wanted something to knock down. She was just so adamant about him not playing with it, and he just wanted something to knock over. And he was very much so. And to this day, he is a boy. So I think we just need to.
I want to ask you this, and what's your opinion? Because you dropped a lot of jewels, and you said some stuff I ain't even thought about. But so this what bothered me this week, and I think like even TV can be very confusing to our young people and to what we accept and what we don't accept. So I watched a show called 911. I don't know if you ever watched it before, but basically,
With Angela Bassett?
Huh?
With Angela Bassett in it?
Yeah. So they have a character on there. I don't know how much you keep up with it, but it's a young guy on there. He's like the youngest out of the crew. His name is Buck, and Buck is like he's a white guy. You could tell he has that sex appeal, that hotness about him that women probably like or whatever, whether it's on TV or on this on Real World or whatever. So he started off the first 4 or 5 seasons being a ladies' man, and but he just always confused about relationships and things of that nature, what young people go through. So in this last season, they decided to turn him into a homosexual. And I'm like, hold on now. How is this man a ladies' man for 5 or 6 seasons? And all of a sudden now, y'all want to turn him into a homosexual. You had other homosexual people on the show that you could have built the storyline around. If anything, you could have made this man into this guy who was confused about his relationships with other women and being a player and all of that. So now he's settling down and showing a man how you can go from, yeah, you're gonna have your fun, but when it's time to settle down and be with a good woman, then this is how this is the transition, not the transition from being a player to all of a sudden you gay. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm like it really bothered me, and I don't have nothing against the homosexual world. That's their world. But I'm like, in this instance, it didn't fit the narrative, and it's like we're trying to force a lifestyle. I think a lot of times that's what we struggle as like heterosexual people, is that when the life other people's lifestyles is tried to be is enforced on us or our kids. So so I just want to get your thoughts on that.
Well, I mean, I can understand. I know that's been a big thing, but my issue with that is black exploitation films have been forcing pimping and hoeing on us since the 70s. Our music has been forcing drug dealing on us since the 70s. We can't have this selective outrage about homosexuality because it's not the worst thing that somebody can grow up to be. Um, like you say, why do these girls like these guys that do bad in school? But you got to go back to why is he doing bad in school? A lot of that stems from simple things like he don't understand. He has dyslexia, ADHD. He's got stuff going on at home. There's a reason for the person acting bad in school. Bad in school is a symptom of a bigger issue. But black people in general don't get those benefits of the doubt. When there's a white child that's misbehaving in school, they go to the guidance counselor, they get therapy, they get put on medication, and people figure out the root cause of that. There's a reason why a person is confused about their sexuality. But also, I feel like we've had that same trope that you just mentioned. There's always been the player. There's always been the guy who's confused when he's ready to settle down. We always have had that, and we still have that. So there's places for you to identify. But me as a black woman who I dated interracially, I date good men. I don't date men based off the skin color. So I've dated interracially. There was never anything that represented that for me. So I didn't really know how to navigate it. There are men who are attracted to other men, but they don't understand it because they're also attracted to other women. So I feel like that same trope that you can find that on 25 other shows. There's that guy who's the heartthrob who is confused about which woman to accept or which woman to choose. There's the guy who's the player in every show. There's that guy. Just like there's always the fat friend who is the protector of the skinny love interest. There's always these things. But where is the nerdy black girl who wants to plant plants in the forest? And like I think we need to open our world up to having more representation. Like I can't watch Friends the same way I watched Friends 10 years ago because where are the black people?
Man.
You know what I'm saying? Like, how do you live in an American city and there's no black people? And it's not about them being black on there. It's about the fact that y'all went to a coffee shop for 20 years and there was never a black customer. There was never a black worker. There was never a black, a homeless person. Like, it could have just been anything. And if we put better, more realistic representation into the world, I think people would understand it better. Like if we start representing white men for being murderous and being, serial killers and not like we did Jeffrey Dahmer, like people really, in the end of it, they almost liked Jeffrey Dahmer. They had a more understanding for Jeffrey Dahmer. If we start representing white people as criminals and rapists and things like that, maybe we would have a better understanding. of the world. But because it is ran by those people, they're never gonna, like, think about it. How many police officers you know that fit the mold of what we see as police officers on the TV? Most of the firefighters that you meet are not going to have a six pack. A lot of the firefighters out here are 300 plus pounds, and they can't climb a fence. Most of your police officers, the most average police officer, they can't solve a crime. But when we watch TV, they're dusting for fingerprints. They're running, through the labs. They're figuring things out. They're geniuses. Same thing with the doctors. Most of your doctors are people that lack common sense. Most of your doctors are arrogant. Most of your doctors don't know their asshole from a hole in the wall. A lot of what we see on TV is what we internalize, but it's not necessarily the truth. And so I feel like you have that representation elsewhere. If you really need that representation for yourself or for your children, you can find it. But how many shows can you find a man that women find attractive who is gay? But here's the other thing. Women are attracted to gay men. Gay men are attractive overall. In fact, I would say if you're talking about muscles and keeping themselves up and shaving and having their hair done and being clean, gay men got heterosexual men beat in a lot of ways. And so they can be very attractive to women. They just don't want to have sex with you. And the same thing goes with with gay men. Gay men are still attracted to women. Gay men, oftentimes when I go out, gay men are the ones that are giving me genuine compliments. And it could, you can say it's because that's what they want, but a lot of gay men don't want to be women. They still attracted to women, but they want a sexual relationship with a man. But I think that these shows do need, like, they could have brought in another character to be gay. They could have done that. I do feel like in general, what we're seeing on TV.
Because I was gonna say this, because it's for
You
the
know
beginning.
what? You know what? Heavy. You know what, boy, Portia, boy. You know what? Ooh wee. As my grandma said, you just let her talk, baby.
But so I know we about to get out of here. Because the thing about it, when you talk masculine black man, when they first started this show, they termed Angela Bassett. Remember, Angela Bassett's husband ended up leaving her because he was gay. It ended up
I didn't know that. Yeah.
So they got another character that works inside of the 911 center, dispatcher center, that gay man. So my thing was, you already have gay characters you could have built storylines around, and you decide after 5 years to make the biggest player on the show a gay man. And I'm just like, it didn't make any sense to me. It blew my mind. You know what I'm saying?
I'm gonna tell you now, nowadays the stuff that they allow on TV would have never happened. I think that in general, I'm watching the show right now on Netflix, and I done seen so much ass and coochie and titties and penises, and it's just like, you wouldn't have seen that 10 years ago. Even if it's heterosexual sex, sometimes that's a little too much for kids.
You definitely would have seen no penis. You had to watch.
Listen, man, we grew up with Dallas and the Cobras and the Diners and Knox Landing and A Different World, talking about college issues, and they got love and hip hop. They talking about freak offs and orgies and all type of crazy, man.
Yeah. I hate that. I think that reality television, because again, we're not in control of it. You're not going to tell me. I know plenty of black women who do not behave like that. I wish a motherfucker would post something in my face, and that's on God. I ain't never had a woman throw no cup of water in my face. That's not how we out here living. If I don't get along with somebody or I don't see eye to eye, I don't hang out with them. And so Real Housewives of Atlanta compared to the other housewife franchise, I feel like it's just another way for society, and y'all know what I mean by society, to continue to paint us in this light that is not necessarily true. A lot of the music that's on the radio is not music that you and I chose to be on the radio. It's not like we took a vote and said, this is what we want to listen to. And a lot of the stuff that is popular is only popular because it gets pushed to be so. I'm still listening to Jill Scott and Erykah Badu. I'm still listening to my music from the 90s. So if
Right.
you talking about popularity, that's what would be on the radio still. And so, I'm still, and then me, I like to listen to every type of music there is. So the fact that all these music stations are still very segregated is crazy to me. I should be able to listen to a radio station and hear Adele, Justin Timberlake, Tim McGraw, Beyonce. I should be able to hear every type of artist on the radio because most people listen to more than one type or genre of music. But people are telling us what they want us to hear because they realize how important that TV is. They realize how important that damn radio is. I really think that we need to turn it off and go to reading books. Same thing with Facebook. Facebook got a lot of people out here feeling important, and they barely making their ends meet. They get 600 likes on a picture, and that's something to them. Facebook started giving people $30 a month, and you would think that they is just, you know what I'm saying? They are just posting anything without regard for what it might cause. That's why we got all these incendiary comments. People don't give a damn if it's going to cause you to talk. I want my $30 this month. So it's just like, people are willing to do anything. I think the thing that's hurting us most as the people is this idea of getting to the bag. I feel like, there's a lot of people like, oh, if it's a bag, I'm gonna do it. And we are not a people that's been guided by money. We ain't never had money. We ain't never needed money. We have always been able to survive without being rich. And so I don't think that we need to get our kids into this idea of if it's a bag. That's why girls are getting into these horrible relationships because a nigga got money.
And with that being said, I was telling somebody, you would have thought my grandparents was the richest people in the world. They ain't have much, but that spiritual richness they had is like everybody loved them, man. Like when my grandmother passed away, man, you had people walking a mile to the church to come to the funeral. There was no more parking spaces. The same with my pops. It's like once you live a fruitful life and you're rich in spirit, you feel like you got everything you need, and you ain't nowhere close to being rich. And so I just think this perception of I need the bag, I need the bag, I need the bag. Like you can't think past go. So what the bag gonna do for you?
Yeah.
We can't. If the world shut down now, could you survive? How would you eat? You know what I mean? Do you know how to frame a house? Can you go to the junkyard and get the body of a car and go pull a motor off one of the junkyards and pay for a cheap motor and put that motor inside the car? My daddy always said, if you can read a book, you can do it.
Yeah.
He said, you don't got to go to school to do it. If you can read a book, you can do it. It might take you a little bit longer, but if you can read a book, you can do it.
Yeah.
I remember my brother had this Hyundai Sonata, and the clutch went out. And he said, well, the new clutch cost this much. My dad said, who buying it? Not me. He said, you drive it, don't you? He said, I'm going to take you to the junkyard. I help you pull it off, but you got to put it back in yourself. And he went to Napa Auto Parts and got this book. And that's how my brother learned how to fix cars. Right there.
Yeah.
You ain't gotta even a book. If you don't want to read YouTube, it's almost a tutorial.
No. I said if the world shut down. When you talking about on YouTube,
okay, I got you.
Yeah, the world shut down. We talking about no internet.
Yeah.
We talking about the old school way.
Okay.
Where you got the shovels, the rake, and the hose, and you got to put them plants in the ground, and you gotta go fishing to eat.
He's not wrong though. Like if you think about it, nowadays it's so much easier to access that information, and people still won't do it. They still rather take their car to a mechanic when you can literally watch somebody change it on your car, your year, your model, Somebody on YouTube has done it before, and all you got to do is follow the directions. And
That's it.
still, that's why I say I ain't gonna ever be stranded on the side of the road. If it's a tire, now luckily my father taught me how to change my tire when I was younger. But if you're a woman and you're on the side of the road, do not be a damsel in distress. Get on that same phone that you keep in your hand. That's the other thing. If you got 6 boyfriends and y'all out here and he got money, but he can't come and change your tire, you ain't got no man, sis. And that's the thing. You ain't got no man. If a man can't do for you when you need help, he not your man. If he can give you money to get your hair and nails done, he can give you money to change them bald ass tires. That's the difference between the nigga you want and the nigga you need to keep. Excuse my language, but is a man should be able to say no to a woman if it's to her detriment. A lot of you men will give a woman a crack cocaine if she asks for it. A man who loves you would say, no, I'm gonna give you money to go to rehab because you got a problem. I'm gonna give you money. So sometimes a man is supposed to say no. That's where his logic comes into play. Is, baby, we trying to save for this house. We need a house. So no, I can't get your nails done. And women will leave a man who say, no, we need a house for a man that'll get her nails done. And then one day, when you back on Section 8, now you wonder what went wrong. It's because you put nails over the future of having a house. Sometimes a man knows his limitations. Like I hear that. I don't care where you take me on a first date, as long as it ain't my house. And that's more of a safety concern than it is, we can chill in the car. I can get to know you. That's the purpose of a date. That is the purpose of a date, to get to know a man, to find out if he's a compatible man to you. So that Cheesecake Factory, although we all found out that was a skit, y'all need to stop falling into that. Like, sometimes a man who will budget the income that he has is going to be a much better man who will go and blow a bag, because once his bag is blown, he don't know how to get it back. But a man who has ambition and has an understanding of how finances work, he can take y'all out of the lowest times. Y'all can have $10 in y'all bank account, and he'll make sure that you eat. He'll make sure that you have lights. He'll make sure that you have running water with $10. Whereas a man with $100,000 will let you fail because he don't know how he got them $100,000.
You heard what she said, Icon? You heard what she said? You heard what she said, Icon? You heard what she said? Ooh, hey, I'm gonna say this. I know we out of time, but this interview could have went on for another 2 hours. For real. Like, this my people, man. Like, I'm talking about years. This my people.
For sure.
And she always been that one that had the amazing drive. She ain't never said nothing left hand. And she just gonna tell you what she think. We done had plenty conversations about society and about what has changed with the essence of our communities, and why did we stop impacting the world? Because by popular demand, a lot of the people that grew up in the depression days and the oppression days, still impacted the world. I went to a Black History program recently where they said when the schools first integrated, they didn't want to treat the black kids like they treated the white kids, and they was like, my dad stood on the front line. He was the first black student body that was on the education board community at his school. It's never been done before. You know what I mean? See, he's still on the front line. So when I say impact, when I say impact, when you can go out and somebody who ain't never seen you before, they be like, oh, you Jacob and Ann's boy. Oh, you Miss Rebecca's grandson. Like, when I say impact, people that's been dead and gone for a very long time, and people can recognize who you are and what bloodline you from, and they'll say some remarkable and amazing stuff about your bloodline and what they expect from you just because of that bloodline you from.
True.
Mm-hmm.
What's
crazy? Jake,
that's
when
impactful.
we first started, you said she was in the restaurant business, and remember, me and you talked about we wanted to do an episode on the customer service in the restaurant industry. So
this is the person I was talking about, Icon. I just ain't told about it yet, but she coming back. This is the person I'm talking about. We want to do a whole segment on customer service the levels of customer service, why there's no good training on customer service. Has anybody wrote a curriculum on customer service? Because it's needed. Because when I go to a restaurant nowadays, and them young people just be sucking their teeth, man, I don't want you sucking your teeth over my food. What's wrong with you?
Oh,
I
you
don't
know,
know.
with the word, and tell me this, Portia, because I'm old school. I was in the restaurant business since I was 15, from washing
Mm-hmm.
dishes all got up to man. The worst thing I hate is if I walk into like a McDonald's, Chick-fil-A, Burger King, wherever. Yeah, Chick-fil-A got bad customer service too. So I
Yeah,
walked
they
in, and
can.
get to that front line, and you get to that counter, and they having side conversations. Because I wouldn't allow that when I was in management.
Right.
I don't mind you having conversations up here, but not while a customer standing in front of you. When that customer
Yeah.
leave, you go back to talking. But when a customer standing up here, don't be talking about the game last night or something that happened on TV or whatever, and that customer standing in front of you trying to order. Yo, folks
Yeah.
supposed to be on. You know what I mean? So that's my
That's
pet
true.
peeve.
Yeah, I
Mm.
mean it's a lot that's changed, and as somebody who is in, I was a service trainer, so that was my job. I get frustrated, but I also understand because people don't understand how the general public show their ass. Like there's a lack of restaurant etiquette on both sides of the coin. And COVID, we lost a lot of people who did it as a living. But you got people who are saying, "Oh, get a real job," and every time they complain about something that's not going right. And then I'm gonna tell you, it's our people who got some of the worst restaurant etiquette. And then you don't want to tip, and then you want to say tipping is optional, but restaurant etiquette is a real thing. Know what the hell you want to eat before you come through my drive-through. Not because I'm not here all day, but because I have numbers I gotta keep. There's a timer on me that I have, to report to. I don't have time for you to ooh and ah. That's why we have the inside. You can come and stand inside, and nobody ain't keeping you on no timer. But don't come through my drive-through on your phone with your music loud. So there's a lot of missing etiquette. And now all you got is the people that ain't shit left, because when you had the people that was giving good service, y'all wasn't wanting to pay them people. Y'all, they didn't want to pay them people no real wage. When you had people that was giving you good service, y'all don't value that service. Everybody was getting $600 a week and still coming into there risking my life and livelihood and still leaving $3 on $150 tab. Why would I give you good service for that?
Okay,
I
we
don't
gonna leave that
owe
for
you.
another.
But listen, boy, that's a
I,
whole nother
I,
segment.
where this going? We gonna leave
Good
that for
service is
the next.
also optional, okay? And people need to understand that servers and service and servants are two different things. Just because I'm your server does not make me a servant. I don't owe you good service. All I owe you is to take your order and get your food to the table. That's all I owe you. All that extra ranch and all them extra refills and all that, you'll sit out there and thirst to death if you got an attitude with me, because I'm gonna tell you, your one tip do not make my shift. I work in an establishment that sees mostly white people. Last night I worked for 4 hours. I made $350. And I didn't have to do anything but take their order. Now, because I know they tipping well, I have more of an incentive to be nice, to
Right.
interact, to go out of my way to make sure that, oh, I know you got a extra large burger, so let me get you an extra napkin. I got an incentive to do that. But if you come in and you got an attitude and you talking down to me, because that's the other thing. I've been in the service industry for a long time. I got 2 college degrees. I speak 2 languages. I own my own businesses. I out earn most nurses, most RNs. I out earn you. So please put some respect. Don't come into my establishment with a $400 wig on and a $200 nail set and leave me no $5 and have an attitude. Don't do that, because that makes me look at you as broke.
Mm,
But that, like
okay.
I said, you might not want to have me on that show because I got a
Oh,
lot
oh,
to
oh, yeah,
say.
I'm definitely gonna have you on that show. Believe that.
We gonna ask you where they find you, because we be here 2 more hours. We gonna leave it for another time. Cause I already see where this is going. You know what I mean? Because we both got stories. I already know. So we gonna just leave this to say, drop your info so we get up out of here. Did we lose it? So we,
You hear? She might have
yeah, did
froze
we
up.
lose it? No, she will freeze up at the end. But listen, I want to thank. Well, tell her this. Thank her for coming on. And if there's any information you want to, she can like post it or send it to you, and we can post it or something later. But just
You
thank her for
can
coming
you
on.
can you can find her on Facebook via Facebook at Portia Crawford. That's Portai. Last name is Crawford. Um, you can just hit her up on Facebook, and if there's any inquiry, she'll you DM her, message her, and she'll definitely message you back. And we just want to thank her for coming on once again, and just follow her movement. There's some postings of some films that she's been in, on her Facebook. So just follow her movement, man. And we are, the 95 South Podcast, VGN, Village Global Network, 191 countries. And, y'all stay tuned. Y'all have a blessed weekend. And most important, man, love yourself first.
Oh, man.
We got the good vibes, got the 1942 pouring in my cup. In the session